Hey, what's up, mortals? It's me, Robert Ramirez, aka Rarzrevenge here. And before we get into today's video, there's a few things I'd like to say. Firstly, I'd like to let you all know that we have a merch store. Some of the items in it are only available for a limited amount of time. So if you're interested, go into the description and check it out. Each purchase helps us make more content. Secondly, if this video hits 300 likes by the end of the week, then we'll continue this what if. Thirdly, if you didn't know, only 41.3% of you guys are actually subscribed to us. So please hit that subscribe button and click that bell icon. Now with that out of the way, let's get into the story. Today we'll be continuing the What If series called What If All Might Was Deku's Dad and explore the concept further. We join Izuku on the first day of UA as he is running through the halls looking for his class when he finally comes across classroom 1A. When he opens the door, he sees Bakugo and a student named Ida arguing with one another. After a couple of seconds, Bakugo notices Izuku and jumps up from his chair shouting, "Deku, you damn nerd! Not only did you have the nerve to join UA, but you also have the nerve to beat me? How's that even possible? You must have cheated! Tell me, you quirkless loser!" Everyone in the classroom looks at Izuku, realizing he's the one who got the highest score in the practice exams. But are confused due to Bakugo saying he's quirkless. Izuku replies, "I was a late bloomer. You know that, Kachan. I do have a quirk. It just took a while to appear." After hearing Izuku's reply, the class isn't confused, but are surprised that he was a late bloomer. Bakugo, though, is clearly angered by this and gets ready to blow Izuku up, but before he can, Ida walks up to Izuku and introduces himself. "Hello, I'm Tenya Ida. It's a pleasure to meet you. I saw your fight during the practical exams, and I'm proud to be a fellow student alongside someone like you." Izuku awkwardly thanks Ida for regarding him so highly and tries to introduce himself when Uraraka walks up behind him, happily saying, "It's you. I was hoping I would see you again. I can't thank you enough for saving me during the exam. I owe you one." Izuku blushes and nervously tells Uraraka that it was no trouble at all and that it was the right thing to do. They then have a very short conversation with Izuku, being nervous for most of it, when a man in a sleeping bag shows up and interrupts them by saying, "If you're here to make friends, then I suggest you leave." Once everyone stops talking and looks at the man, he stands up and introduces himself. "It took you all way too long to quiet down. This won't work. That's how you're going to be. I'm Shota Aizawa, but call me Mr. Aizawa. I'm your teacher." Everyone in the class is a little surprised, but Mr. Aizawa ignores them all and pulls up a gym uniform out of his sleeping bag and tells them all, "Put these on and head outside. We got something important to do." Everyone leaves the classroom, and once they get changed into their gym outfits, and heads outside where Mr. Aizawa informs them that they all would be doing a quirk assessment test. The class is a little confused by this. Uraraka mentions that they'll miss orientation, but Aizawa replies, "If you really want to make the big leagues, then you can't waste your time on pointless ceremonies. Here at UA, we aren't tethered to traditions, which allow me to run this class however I want." Mr. Aizawa continues, "You've been taking standardized tests for as long as you've been in school, but today, you get to use your quirks for a physical exam." Aizawa then asks Izuku, since he got the highest score in the practical exam, to throw the ball using his quirk, which he does, getting about 197.5 meters, using 11% of one for all throughout his whole arm, showing that he does in fact have a quirk, which infuriates Bakugo. But the class, after seeing it, get excited that they can use their quirks when Aizawa snaps at them. "So you think it's going to be fun? You only have 3 years here to become a hero. It's not all going to be fun and games. Today you'll compete in 8 physical tests to gauge your overall potential, and whoever comes in last will be expelled immediately." Everyone is shocked when they hear this, and Uraraka protests, stating that it's not fair for Aizawa to do that, with Izuku backing her up slightly. But Mr. Aizawa replies, "I told you I get to run this class however I want, and if any of you have a problem with it, then you can just leave. This is to see if you're cut out to be here. UA will throw multiple hardships at you, and the world will be even worse when you're a pro. This test is nothing. Show me it's no mistake that you're here, and go beyond plus ultra style." After a few seconds of thinking, the whole class gets determined looks on their faces, and Aizawa in response smiles, saying, "Okay, let's get started." And with that, the quirk assessment test begins, starting with a 50-meter dash. No scores really change except for Izuku, who gets time of 3.9 seconds, and as you can guess, every other score for Izuku will be much better than it was originally, except for the ball throw because he only used 11%. But other than that, there's no reason to really focus too much on the test, and in the end, Izuku ends up getting the 6th highest score. thanks to his quirk Spartan Boost and One For All increasing all of his physical abilities to the point where even if he didn't have an insane score, he was still able to get a pretty decent overall score. And it does help that Izuku used a little of Full Call during certain tests like sit-ups and went up to 12% and 13% for short periods, so he did very well. Also, as a reminder, Izuku's quirk Spartan Boost increases his body's ability like speed, strength, durability, etc. by 2 times as of now, which helps him to handle more One For All. Without using it, Izuku can only use a little over 5%, and it also helps him to add extra power for short periods of time, and it makes it easier for him to move the power throughout and to different parts of his body. But he can use Spartan Boost on its own, just like he can use One For All by itself. But let's move on. Naturally, because Izuku's score, a lot of the students would move down by 1 spot, meaning Mineta is last. But Aizawa doesn't expel him or anyone else because he does see potential in all of them and tells them that it was a logical deception to make them try harder. However, Aizawa does mention that if any of them step out of line or show signs of not being cut out for UA, then he won't hesitate to expel them. He then ends the class and walks away, but he runs into All Might and has a conversation with him, though it's pretty normal, so it's not very important. At the end of the first day of UA, Izuku is walking out of the main building when Ida and Uraraka both catch up to him and properly introduce themselves to one another. And as they all walk to the station together, Ida asks, "Izuku, if you don't mind me asking, what's with Bakugo and his attitude towards you? It seemed like he was ready to attack you at any moment." Izuku replies, "Well, remember when I said I was a late bloomer with my quirk? It's probably that combined with the fact that he thinks I'm a loser, which is why he calls me Deku. He hates that it seems like I'm trying to show him up. He's very competitive." Uraraka replies, "It seems like he's full of himself, but I can't believe you got your quirk late. That's crazy. You're already so strong. And I have to admit, I like that name. Deku, it'd be a great hero name. Plus, it's kinda cute." Izuku, blushing, responds, "Well, I don't know about that, but if you want to call me Deku." Ida interjects, asking why Izuku is okay with Uraraka calling him that if it's an insult, which isn't really answered, and the 3 new friends head to the station, ending the first day of UA. Nothing really important happens, so we'll skip to the next day, the day of the combat training, but first, Deep Dive ad. Before we get back to the story, I'd like to say that we've got a second channel called Anime Deep Dive. Anime Deep Dive goes over the hard facts of the anime presented. Now, in case you guys didn't know, we also have a third channel called Anime Theory. Anime Theory mainly focuses on a large variety of mind-boggling anime theories. If you're interested in content like this, please go check the description below or click the icon in the top right corner. Now with that out of the way, let's get back into the story. The day starts pretty uneventful, but when the bell rings, All Might enters the classroom like a hero, and everyone in the class is excited except Izuku, who is thinking to himself, "Come on, Dad! You don't have much time to stop showboating." Once All Might gets to the small podium, he announces that they'll be doing combat practice and tells everyone to get changed into their hero costumes, which everyone is happy to do as they all leave for the locker room to get changed. Outside at Ground Beta, everyone arrives wearing their hero costumes, which are all pretty much the same, except for Izuku's, whose costume looks less homemade, more like an in-between version of his first and his second costume. The only things that are missing are the weird bunny ear mask and the other little face mask. He doesn't have these this time around. All Might shot it down. Once everyone has settled down, All Might explains the rules for the exercise and splits everyone up into teams of 2, randomly picking their matchups, which are all exactly the same as in canon, with the first match being Izuku and Uraraka as the heroes against Team Bakugo and Ida as the villains. Right before the match starts, Izuku and Uraraka stand outside of the building trying to come up with a plan when Uraraka notices that Izuku seems a little nervous and asks him what's wrong. Izuku answers, "Don't worry, I'll be fine. I'm just thinking, we need to be cautious of our opponents, especially Bakugo. I've known him ever since we were kids, and he's incredible when it comes to things like this. Even though he's a bit of a jerk, but that just means I have to be better. I refuse to lose this, not to him. This time I'm winning." Uraraka smiles and replies, "I see, so you're planning on putting your foot down to finally face and beat your lifelong rival. That's so cool." Izuku blushes and continues to talk about the plan with Uraraka. Now, one thing I would like to add to keep in mind that Izuku isn't overall nervous thanks to All Might extra influence, but he's still Izuku, Nothing we can do about that. After a minute goes by, the combat exercise officially starts, and once it does, Izuku and Uraraka sneak through a window and move around the building, with Izuku having Spartan Boost activate while doing so. When suddenly Bakugo jumps out from around a corner and uses Explosion, but Izuku uses 11% of One For All in his legs to get him and Uraraka out of the way before they get hit by the attack. And when Kacchan sees this, he yells, "You damn nerd! Stop being a coward and face me! Head on!" Bakugo rushes forward and throws a big right hook, but Izuku grabs his arm, using a 2x boost to his strength, throws Bakugo over his shoulder, and slams him into the ground hard, knocking the wind right out of him. Bakugo, taking some time to get up from the throw, turns to Deku and asks, "What the hell was that? How's a weakling like you able to do that?" Izuku answers, "Because I've studied you, and I know you always start fighting with a right hook. I'm not a weakling anymore, Kacchan. I'll fight you head on and win. Do you hear me? From this point on, I won't let you walk all over me. Deku is now the name of a hero, not a loser." Uraraka looks at Izuku, smiling, giving him a thumbs up when Izuku tells her to go ahead without him, which she does, and once Bakugo fully gets back up on his feet, he glares at Izuku and yells, "Ever since your stupid stepdad and a quirk came along, you've been acting so confident. I'm going to show you that means nothing. I'll obliterate you." After saying this, Bakugo charges forward, firing explosions after explosions, shaking the whole building, while Izuku uses 11% in his legs to dodge all of them. Bakugo then fires a massive blast from one of his gauntlets, nearly destroying an entire floor of the building, but it does knock Izuku into a wall, hurting him slightly. As Deku is getting back up, Bakugo leaps forward using explosions to keep up his speed, and punches him in the gut to deliver a punch to Bakugo square in the face, knocking him away. But Izuku counters by using 11% in his arm to deliver a punch to Bakugo square in the face, knocking him away. After they both stare each other down while catching their breaths, but the silence is broken when Bakugo screams, "You think you're so damn great, don't you? Admit it, you've always looked down on me, like I was some weakling. And now that you have a quirk, I bet you're excited to finally show me up, aren't you?" Izuku looks at Bakugo confused and replies, "What? No, I don't look down on you whatsoever, Kacchan. Even after how you treated me, I've always done nothing but look up to you. All I wanted to do is show you that I'm not weak and beat you." Deku looks at Bakugo with an intensely serious on his face, taking his opponent aback before Kacchan replies, "Okay, fine. Then don't hold back, or I'll kill you." Bakugo then uses a special move called Flash Grenade, blinding Izuku, and uses an explosion to move in close to attack, but Izuku activates Full Call at 11%, barely dodging an explosion, and counters by punching Bakugo, forcing him back slightly. But Kacchan launches a double explosion that hits Izuku and sends him flying towards a wall. Before he hits it, Deku manages to plant his feet on the wall and jumps forward back at Bakugo, landing a powerful left hook. Immediately after, Kacchan grabs Izuku's arm and uses an explosion to pick up speed, spins around and slams Izuku on the ground, where Bakugo then sets a large explosion, sending Deku flying through a damaged wall. While Izuku struggles to get back to his feet, Bakugo begins to taunt him, saying, "What's the matter? I thought you wanted to prove how strong you are. Or did I mishear you? It's clear you're still nothing but a pathetic loser, and I'm getting sick of you wasting my time." Izuku smirks and powers up Full Call at 13% and moves forward. Bakugo tries to counter with an explosion, but Izuku narrowly sidesteps the blast and hits with a devastating uppercut, sending Kacchan up, slamming into the ceiling, where he falls back down and uses an explosion to try to force Izuku back, which hits and knocks him a short distance away. Bakugo then blasts himself forward to try to deal a finishing left hook, but Izuku catches his arm again and spins him around multiple times, picking up more momentum and throws Kacchan through a damaged wall. Deku then moves in and deals a gut punch, sending Bakugo through another damaged wall, finally knocking him out. Izuku stops using Full Call and sits down on the floor, exhausted, and while looking at Bakugo says to himself, "I actually knocked you out. Wow, I can't believe it. Oh, you're gonna be so pissed when you wake up." Izuku, after a minute of resting, gets up and uses some capture take to secure Kacchan. After he does, Izuku heads off, remarking how long the fight took, and tries to get a hold of Uraraka but isn't able to. When he eventually finds the fake bomb and Ida, he realizes Uraraka was captured. Deku powers up his legs to 11% and rushes forward, but before he can actually do anything, a buzzer goes off with All Might yelling over the loudspeaker, "Time's up! And the heroes have failed to capture the bomb, so the villains win." This quickly stops Izuku in his tracks as he looks down in disappointment, while Ida glows, still overacting like a villain. After a second goes by, Deku walks over to Uraraka and helps her get out of the capture tape, where she begins to apologize. Sorry for getting captured, Deku. I wish I could have done more, but Ida was too fast, and I really couldn't keep up, especially when he went on the offensive. Izuku replies, It's fine. He's a tough opponent. I know most would have trouble against him. Ida then says in an over-dramatic villain voice, That is correct, pathetic heroes! For I am the true embodiment of evil, and all should fear me! Izuku and Uraraka look at Ida and start laughing at how serious he's trying to act, causing him to finally stop. They all leave the training area and meet back with the class, while Bakugo is taken to infirmary to get patched up. Ida is named the MVP because he was able to capture Uraraka and keep the bomb safe, while everyone else mistakes are pretty obvious, like Bakugo and Izuku causing damage to the building, which Momo does point out. Overall, through every other match after Izuku is fairly standard with nothing major happening, so let's skip ahead to when Bakugo wakes up in the infirmary, with Buff Almighty standing over him. Bakugo asks what happened, and All Might explains that he was knocked out during the fight with Izuku, but thanks him for prolonging the fight, his team was able to win. Kacchan looks at All Might with an intense look of anger and jumps out of the bed shouting, No, this isn't over! Not by a long shot! And runs out of the room, where All Might immediately goes back to his weak form, coughing up blood as he says to himself, That young man sure has a temper. Hopefully he doesn't do something stupid. Maybe I should give Aizawa a heads up. Meanwhile, over in Class 1A, everyone is complimenting Izuku's performance during the exercise. Thanks to Deku having so much control and actually knocking out Bakugo, he's pretty much impressed everyone, but after a few minutes, Bakugo storms through the door shouting, Deku, I have a bone to pick with you! And moves towards Izuku when a few students like Ida, Uraraka, and Kirishima try to stop and calm him down, but he just pushes past them and slams his hands on Izuku's desk, yelling, Deku, know that I don't accept this so-called win. It doesn't count unless I take you down myself. But don't think you're some badass because you knocked me out. I was holding back, so I didn't collapse the whole building on top of us. Next time it'll be a proper fight, got it? Izuku looks at Bakugo and smiling says, Sure, but I won't lose. Expect me to be even stronger when we have our rematch. Bakugo yells back in a response, Don't even dream of beating me, you damn nerd. I'll send you straight to hell. There's no way you'll surpass me. Not in a billion years. And with that, Bakugo storms out of the class with his bag and heads home. While everyone asks what that all was about, and Deku replies, Just Bakugo being Bakugo. Believe it or not, that was probably the nicest conversation we've had in years. Izuku laughs a little along with a few of the other students, which is when Uraraka smiles at Deku and compliments him on how cool he is before heading off as well, leaving Izuku blushing profusely as everyone else eventually heads home, with Izuku being the last, ending the second day at UA. That's going to be it for today's video. Thank you all for watching the video to the end. Now there's a few more things I'd like to go over before the video ends. On behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank the writers for this video, as well as the editors for this video. Their details will be in the description down below. If you're a voice actor, editor, or writer, or you're interested in becoming one of those, go to the Discord that is in the description of this video and hit up one of the heads of those areas. We're always looking for more members to join us. That's it from us for today's video. So thank you all for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're interested, and hit that like button if you liked the video. Until next time, peace out mortals, have an amazing day!